The Girl Next Door is a film that was released in 2007, although the back of this case does say 2009. It probably had a few dates with festivals and stuff like that, but 2007 is the IMDb date. This was directed by Gregory M. Wilson, and this is based on a Jack Ketchum's novel. So, not to be confused with The Girl Next Door, of course, with Alicia Cuthbert, the sex comedy. This is the furthest thing away from a sex comedy, if you know this story. I have not read the novel Jack Ketchum's The Girl Next Door, although it is in my TBR to be read list. And it's supposed to be worse than the film, and this is already an extreme film. And I have seen this a few times. Not when it came out, but probably watched it two, maybe three times. This might have been my second or third time. I'm not exactly sure. Probably my third. But Stephen King praises this, and of course praises the book, being an author himself. Authentically shocking, a long look into hell, suburban style. The Girl Next Door will not disappoint. Stephen King quote. Yeah, this film is brutal. It's an extreme film. Inspired by true events. I did hear of this film. I did hear of another film very recently called An American Crime, starring Ellen Page, now Elliot Page, and Kathleen Keener, I believe is how her name is pronounced. And it's also based on the same story, except I think it's more accurate than this one is. Like, I don't know exactly. I know it's inspired, and I know it's not like exact, but it's fairly close enough. But I'm not sure. I haven't read the book and everything, and I haven't like looked at documents on the actual event. But basically, what we have going on here is we have this girl named Meg who was basically brutalized and tortured by some kids and one of the kids' moms named Ruth. And Ruth here is played by Blanche Baker, who I don't know if she ruined her career by playing this role, but she plays it so good that you can't look at her not as a villain anymore because she just is insane. This woman is very jaded. She hates other women, obviously self reflecting, and obviously she's been hurt by men. And she truly, legitimately believes that women are all whores and should be treated as such and used and abused. Like, this is her actual beliefs as a woman herself. And she has a son. I forget exactly which son is his or is hers, but her son has a bunch of friends, one being David. And this film opens up where this man is walking down the street and he witnesses an accident. Sorry, I got something in my eye. He witnesses an accident. This guy gets hit by a car. I forget the actor's name too. He played, was it Gustavo? He was in Breaking Bad. He was the wheelchair bell dinging guy. Very famous actor in a lot of films, but he gets hit by a car and then he's taken by ambulance. And this inspires this guy to start writing about his childhood. And the story is him as a narrator, the adult version of David, narrating the story and writing about it in his notes about him as a child and what he experienced as a child. And David, as a child, witnessed this thing. He was the nicer one of the kids, even though he was involved in some of the, like, he definitely was a witness and he didn't do anything about it then, even though he could, but he was more of the softer, protective one to the girl. And the girl Meg, is played by Blythe Oforth, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Great actress as well. And it's vicious. Like, this film is just so vicious. And Blanche Baker, like I said, as the mother Ruth, is just, she's the definition of insane. She's the definition of a damaged person. Like, it's absolutely agonizing to watch this film, especially as it gets towards the end. So, yeah, David makes friends with this girl, and this girl comes around, and then, she meets the mom, and she starts to get bullied by the mom. Like, she makes this art drawing for the other daughter of the mother, who the mother also is very verbally abusive towards, but she's younger, so she's not like, I don't think she's pubescent at that point, but she's almost there. And the mother makes suggestions that's like, when you grow up and start becoming a quote unquote whore, this might happen to you and everything. And there's this one scene where she wants to discipline the younger daughter, and she does it in front of all the boys, and she like lifts up her skirt and pulls down her underwear and starts like whipping her butt, and it's not on screen, but you know what's going on, and you see the kids' reactions each individually, and it's sick. It's sick, and it's disgusting, and it's twisted. And eventually it gets to a point where Meg is put in the basement and tied up and washed every once in a while, and she's of course raped and beat, and the kids start tormenting her, and like they all hold the power, including David. But David, like I said, is the softer one. David is the one who cares for her and watches over her and makes sure that she's okay, kind of thing. And they don't give her water or anything like that. David tries to, but he's very powerless in that kind of sense because he's young. He's younger than the other boys. But the biggest question is for a lot of people is like, who would go through this? What kid wouldn't get it in their head and be like, this is wrong? But that's not the case. This is very believable. Influence is strong. Influence on adults is strong. Now, when you're talking about kids, it's even stronger. They're impressionable. They love to have power, especially boys, especially preteens and teen boys. There's a sexy girl over there. Even though she's gagged and hanging by a rope, and there's nothing sexy about the situation. When you have a crazy ass mom who is so influential. She's like their leader type thing. She's like their queen, quote unquote, and she influences their minds perversely. That women are, and young women, girls are objects. They're human sex dolls, essentially, and this is what she drills into their heads. And so when they get this opportunity, it's like, oh, you ask yourself, oh, wouldn't they know better? No, they wouldn't know better. I mean, you got everything going on. You got warped mentalities with the kids because they're being raised by this psycho bitch, and then you got human instinct like hormones. Sex drive. It's like, oh, here's some free pussy. It's horrible. It's sick, but given the circumstances, it is believable. Are they right for doing it? No. Do I condorse it? Do I condone it? Like, of course not. I'm not like, I'm not saying it's good. I'm just saying it is realistic for people who are like, oh, I would never do that. How could anybody do that? They're sick. Well, you look at the scenario and imagine how the little girl is gonna grow up when she becomes a young woman and pubescent and all that. Like it is believable. It's disgusting and it's twisted, and it shouldn't be the case, but it is. And like I said, David cares for her as best he can, and sneaks down there, and eventually they put some books, like a pile of books, on her feet so she can stand on it, and then they punish her by taking one book at a time out so she can fall further down, and it's brutalizing and agonizing because her hands are already completely just bruised and mangled and red. And it's just sad, but again, it's that power struggle. It's that power over her that the kids feel they have, and they're young and they're impressionable, like I've been saying. And even, all that is believable. Even though they know they're hurting her, they get off on that power, and they are impressioned, like they're. It's not that they don't know any better, but in a sense, they don't really. I think the oldest one is like 14 or something like that. They're really, really young kids. The most brutal, for anybody who has seen this already, because this is clearly a spoiler review, but easily the most brutal scene in the film is when she gets a blowtorch to her genitals and has them completely mutilated and burnt off. And the mom, played by Blanche Baker, so bad with forgetting names. Blanche Baker, again, like, as an actress, she almost ruined her career with this film because she's so good at it. Like, that's saying something when you're so good at doing your job and acting that you're actually unliked. But she went off to do other things too. She didn't do a whole lot, but she did a bunch of things. she's giving this speech like, oh, they practice this in West Africa and East Africa and all these African countries all the time and all over the world, many parts of the world, it's normal because, women should feel pleasure and everything. And she like lights a blowtorch, and at least it's off screen, so you don't see a lot of graphic violence happening, but it's all implied and you know exactly what's going on and you hear the screaming and yelling and agony like crazy. And it is sad that Meg ends up dying in front of David, and it would have been a nicer ending if she could be saved and everything. But like I said, I didn't research the exact story, but I'm assuming in real life she probably did die. I mean, there was no cleaning up that infection. Like there was, the pain and the shock and the you know the infection of the wound would just finish her off absolutely. But her trembling and everything, and I believe still blindfolded, it's horrific. It's a really upsetting film, especially if you're a girl, but for anybody, just watching this brutality happen, it's really really extreme. And as it gets into its third act, it just gets more extreme and more upsetting, and you're just sitting there like, why am I even putting myself through this? You know what I mean? But yeah, it's a vicious one. I would say it's much worse than Eden Lake, which I recently watched and reviewed. But I do own it. I don't intend to watch this film very often. But I do intend to read the book, so I do want to compare the book to this, and I hear the book's really good, but again, some people had to DNF it for many reasons, because of the language in it, or because of triggers, or because of whatnot, but a haunting adaptation of a powerful novel about the darker side of American innocence destroyed. There you go, in a nutshell. Quoted by WBAIFM. So, like I said, Stephen King's all over this one, and it's worth a watch if you're not squeamish. Just to experience how brutal humans can be and how corrupt human nature can get. It's it's a it's a well done display on that, if anything. So that's The Girl Next Door, the violent girl next door. Go check it out if you want to experience it for yourself, and subscribe to Morgan Film Fan if you like to listen to my voice or if you like my film reviews. I'll be back with more soon, so stay tuned for those. Check out what's on the channel already. Stay tuned for what's coming. Until next review, have a good one. Take care and cheers.